she said. I don't owe you any explanation. After skipping our anniversary to see her ex, so I locked her out, canceled everything, and left her bags on the curb. My name's Liam. I'm 32, and up until recently, I thought I had everything figured out. I had a good job working in tech, a house I'd just bought 2 years ago, and a fiancée I believed was my forever person. Her name is Ella. We've been together for 4 years. Everything seemed fine, normal couple stuff. We had our little arguments here and there, but nothing that ever made me question the relationship. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. The first red flag should have been when she started getting weirdly protective over her phone. We always used to share playlists, swap memes, or check schedules on each other's phones without a second thought. But lately, anytime I even glanced her way while she was texting, she'd tilt her screen away. I brought it up once, and she brushed it off with, "You're being paranoid." I convinced myself I was overthinking. She was probably just planning something for our upcoming anniversary. We were about to hit our 3rd year engaged, and I figured maybe she was cooking up some kind of surprise. Then came last Friday, our anniversary. I woke up, expecting breakfast together or at least a happy anniversary text. Nothing. She wasn't even home. At first, I thought maybe she went out to grab something. I texted her. No reply. Called, straight to voicemail. Hours went by. Afternoon turned into evening. I started getting that sinking feeling in my chest, the kind that tells you something's wrong even if your brain tries to ignore it. Around 6 p.m., I finally get a text from her. Not a call, just a text. It said, "Hey, won't make it tonight. Something came up. I'll explain later. No happy anniversary. No apology. Just that." I called again. Straight to voicemail. I don't know what pushed me to do it. Maybe gut instinct, or maybe my brain was done ignoring the obvious. But I checked her location on the shared app we used for emergencies. She had completely forgotten it was still on. She wasn't with friends. She wasn't at work. She was in another city, about 45 minutes away, at some guy's house. And not just any guy. Her ex. The one she told me years ago she had no contact with. I sat there staring at the map, trying to process what I was seeing. I felt stupid. I felt like a fool. When she finally walked in around noon the next day, she acted like nothing happened. No guilt. No shame. I asked her, "Where were you? What the hell happened last night?" She barely blinked and said, "I don't owe you or anyone an explanation." I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. No remorse. No apology. Just complete dismissal. That was the moment something in me flipped. I realized I had spent years investing in someone who didn't value me. I wasn't about to beg for answers or chase someone who had already checked out. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply nodded and walked out of the room. If she wanted freedom so badly, I was about to show her exactly what that looked like. I spent the next hour sitting in my car, parked just around the block. Not because I didn't want to face her, but because I needed to think clearly. I knew if I went in guns blazing, yelling, it would only give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I wasn't broken. I was done. We weren't legally married yet, but we had combined a lot over the past few years. A shared bank account for household expenses. Both our names on some furniture we'd bought together. She kept a car in my name because her credit wasn't great when we bought it. I took a breath and opened my laptop. First thing, removed her from our joint bank account. It was technically mine anyway. She barely contributed. She had access only for convenience. That ended. Instantly. Next, the car. I opened the finance company's portal and initiated the removal process. Since the loan was under my name, all it took was a formal request and proof that she didn't contribute to payments. That was easy, because I'd been paying it entirely. Then the house. She wasn't on the deed. Never was. She paid for groceries sometimes, but rent? Mortgage? All me. The house was mine, legally and financially. I called a locksmith. "How soon can you get here?" I asked. "Couple hours," the guy said. "Perfect," I replied. With that in motion, I went back to the house. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. Not even trying to hide it. I didn't say a word. Walked straight to the bedroom, grabbed every suitcase, gym bag, and tote bag she owned, and started packing. Not messily, neatly. Folded her clothes. Shoes paired. Jewelry cases zipped. Electronics wrapped. Everything placed carefully. I wasn't going to let her spin this into a "he trashed my stuff" narrative. After about 30 minutes, she finally noticed. "What are you doing?" she asked, more confused than angry. I kept packing. "Giving you exactly what you said you wanted. Freedom. No explanations." She stood there, silent for a second, processing what was happening. Then came the switch. Wait. Can we just talk?" I laughed, quietly, not to mock her, but at how predictable this was. "Talk. You made it pretty clear yesterday. You don't owe me anything, remember?" Her face shifted. "Liam, you're being ridiculous. It wasn't what you think." I zipped her suitcase. "You were at your ex's place on our anniversary. Do I look stupid to you?" "No, it's not like that. I just needed closure. We didn't do anything. She was scrambling now, voice getting shakier, hands fidgeting. Closure. I repeated. You don't get closure 3 years into an engagement with someone else. You get closure before you move in with them, before you accept a ring, before you build a life. The locksmith arrived right on cue. I stepped outside, greeted him, and pointed to the front door. Change it. Top to bottom. Code 2. Ella followed me out. Are you seriously locking me out of my own home? I turned to her, dead serious. It's not your home. Never was. Check the deed. Check the mortgage. You were a guest I hoped would stay forever. Turns out, you were just passing through. I placed her bags neatly on the sidewalk, closed the front door behind me, and stood there as the locksmith swapped the locks. She stood by her stuff, staring, jaw tight, arms crossed, but no words left. Because really, what could she say? I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I simply gave her the freedom she said she wanted. But that wasn't even the end. After the locksmith finished, I stood inside the house, quiet, peaceful, and honestly lighter than I'd felt in months. Ella was still outside, pacing back and forth like she couldn't decide whether to yell, cry, or beg. Eventually, she knocked. Not aggressive, just desperate. Liam, come on. We need to talk, she said, voice softer than I'd heard it in a long time. I cracked the door just enough to make my point clear. Talk. You had every chance. You chose someone else. Remember that the next time you tell someone you don't owe them an explanation. She opened her mouth, trying to hold her composure. Look, I made a mistake, okay? I wasn't thinking straight. It was stupid. I just needed to figure things out. Figure things out. I asked. You don't figure things out by ghosting your fiancé on your anniversary and running off to your ex. Her eyes started to water. She shook her head. It didn't mean anything. I panicked. We've been together so long and I don't know. I felt overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, I said, leaning against the doorframe. Ella, relationships are about communication. You don't disappear when things get hard. You talk. You work it out. You don't sneak off for closure with your ex while your fiancé is sitting at home thinking you're dead or hurt. Silence. She stared at the ground, wiping her face, breathing heavy like she was trying not to fall apart right there. Then she tried the angle I half expected. Liam, please, don't do this. We've built so much together. Don't just throw it away. I nodded slowly. You're right. We did build something. And you burned it the minute you walked out that door. At that point, I handed her an envelope. Inside, a formal notice that I was officially removing her from the shared phone plan, closing any joint accounts, and canceling every subscription under my name. Clean break. She opened it, flipped through the pages, and just whispered, "Wow." Yeah, I replied. Wow. Then I said the thing I know hit her harder than anything else. By the way, you should probably text your ex. You're going to need somewhere to stay tonight. She looked up like she'd been slapped. Liam, don't. Please don't do this. You already did it to yourself, Ella. I closed the door. Over the next few days, I got the full story. Friends started talking. Turns out, this wasn't some one-time slip-up. She'd been talking to her ex for months behind my back, meeting him for coffee, having catch-ups, pretending it was nothing. I was the idiot who trusted her. The best part? Her ex wasn't interested in anything serious. Once he figured out that she was blowing up her engagement for him, he backed off. Hard. A week later, I got a text from her. Long, drawn out, saying she was sorry, that she realized too late what she lost, that she missed me, and that she was willing to go to therapy, work on things, anything. I left it on read. She showed me what her version of freedom looked like. I just returned the favor. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.